How you going?
Good. I can't complain. Actually, probably had one of the best weekends I've had in a long time that didn't involve sex. Um,
You've actually given light to a lot of drummers. A lot of those drummers that in the past have been told, you know what, you're just the drummer. Sort of
Shut
sit
up and
back.
play.
Yeah, man, just keep that beat and shut up, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I I think you've somehow elevated our status
Yeah.
as a drummer, um, more so as a leader at the same time as you know, a, a person that can actually write music and write parts. So kudos, man, because you know I think you've been able to put us in a better light as musicians, not just you know
No,
the
I
drummer.
appreciate that. No, there's no reason if and again, you have to qualify for it. You have to have the experience, and not everything is going to go your way, but I've been listening to music for like over 60 years. So I've heard all kinds of stuff and different ideas. So when we're putting ideas together, there's all kinds of ideas. Hey, let's try this. Let's try that. Let's do this. Hey, I'm going to drop the bass drum out here. I'm going to do that. It's the creative thing. And I think the creative thing is God given.
Mm,
I don't think you learn creative. You learn how to play and you learn how to interpret your creativeness through your hands and your feet and play.
yeah.
But I think that thing of always pushing it and just that kind of mindset of I'm going to go way over the line, but maybe I'll discover something. And there's
Mm,
been so many things that start one way and you try 17 different variations and then you go, okay, half time, okay, cut time, okay, put the right hand here, do this, just changing things around. And you didn't even plan it, but then when you listen back, you go, wow, that's insane.
mm,
And I would have never thought of that like right off the top of my head. I'm just not that guy. I don't, there's guys that just come off the top of their head and are blazing, but I'm not that guy. I have to work it out. I have to sit there over and over and over and try things. And then, it's kind of half mental and half creative, and to put things together. But there's no reason that a drummer shouldn't have say. And I think the real truth is if I was a lead singer or lead guitar player, it would be looked at totally different because those are the natural positions where, they think that's going to be the leader guy. Yeah.
yes.
So,
So when did you say or when would you say you started conceptualizing your part in the band this way? When did you start? How can I put this? I mean, you've had a studio now in your own home for how long? I mean,
it goes back. I
years,
mean,
right?
I've owned, and if it wasn't in my house, I had the studio down at Bill's place.
Yep,
So,
yep.
no, I always thought that was an important thing, to have
Mm,
because you got to hear it back. You got to hear it. You got to be able to really hear it. There's a lot of years that I didn't have that, and you'd go into recording or playing live, and the parts don't sound very good, or they sound too cluttered, they're too busy, even though in your head they sound good. I just think, and especially today, man, you could do it with your iPhone. You don't even need a recording studio. You can
yep.
go in and put the phone in the back of the room or whatever and hear what you're doing. But no, I've always loved that and really appreciated the opportunity to have that kind of, top of the line studio where I get to hear it what I want to hear it, the way I want to hear it, and I'm constantly struggling with that because I'm always tweaking different things on the console and trying to get different sounds. And I hear certain things and it's like, that's not quite there. And, that kind of thing. So no, I love that part of it. That's the producing part of it,
Mm, mm.
you
So
know?
did you have ideas back in the Fates Warning days that you weren't allowed to put forward in terms of construction of parts and so forth?
Yeah, that wasn't really a big democracy as far as that goes, which is fine. I mean, I
Yeah.
know I joined someone else's band, there's no question,
Mm,
but there's plenty of different parts that I played, whether it's in the 11th Hour, Monument, wherever, that inspired other things that went to other parts,
yes.
you know. Um, so yeah, I mean, anybody who's listening can hear kind of what's happening. Oh, that's cool. Let me go this way. Let me go that way. You know. But again, that was more of a support role than, hey, Mark, what do you think? that kind of thing. So, and that's, again, I joined someone else's band. I didn't have a problem with it. That's what I signed up for. I didn't push anybody. I didn't sit in the corner and bitch like a little girl about how, no, they're not using my parts. No, I can't. But no, I just took what was given to me and tried to make the best out of it that I could.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what you tell me now, how do you foresee things going in terms of, the live situation now, just hitting the road generally, now that we're out of COVID or out the other end?
Well, we're going back to exactly what was the original plan. And it's interesting because there's, a member of the band that is very busy and has a very heavy duty job. And I've known this guy forever and I love writing with him. And he's the guy who said to me, hey, let's go, let's do this, And it was funny because he took me to see Kansas. And I said to him, hey, Phil, I can, I know Phil, we can get hooked up. He goes, don't worry about it, man. I want to sit in the front row. So I bought we were sitting like 2 rows back or whatever. Doing that, he told me, and I said, Nick, I understand completely. He goes, but I'll give you 3 names of guys that are going to substitute for me. Come on, there's not a band out there today, I think, that has original member, guys that played on the record. And if you have to use somebody else live because someone can't make it, I mean, that happens all the time. The idea is the band's supposed to get out there, and play, So no, we're totally moving forward, completely moving forward with this.
Just off topic, your left foot, we've spoken about this before, actually, your left foot hi-hat work, all right, is in the pocket and just amazing in terms of it keeping time for you.
Yep.
Has it gotten to the point where you don't even have to think about it and it's just happening in overdrive automatically? And it's just because I find it extremely hard, doing maybe some 16th note, 32nd note work on my right foot and having your left foot playing, quarter notes or whatever. I mean, how have you done this, man? Because you've done it amazingly.
That goes back to when I was probably 15 or 16 and those first 3 Journey records when Ensley Dunbar was playing. You'd always hear the hi-hat doing some kind of thing. So I haven't perfected it, but I always, if I'm not playing with the hi-hat closed, I'm playing with it somehow. Now, is it on the downbeat? Is it on the offbeat? And now it gets really tricky when you go, okay, I'm going to play it every 3 beats. It's just, the guy who really took that was a drummer, El Negro. I forgot what his name. I forgot what his name was, but a Latin dude that's like playing clave beats with the left foot. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, that's like to the ridiculous. I'm just trying to get something that's constant, but it works really cool with the rest of the kit, especially with a ride cymbal or a closed hi-hat over here, because it's almost like your own built-in little percussion section. And let's face it, I've always thought that the drums were always about the groove. As much as I've played in bands where, you're playing all over the place and everything, I'd like to think that there's always a groove in there. So if you can have one part of your instrument keeping time or keeping off time. I used to do a thing in my clinic and I would just play, Living After Midnight drum beat. And I play the hi-hat on the downbeat. And it was really solid because it's the same as the right hand. And then I'd switch it to the offbeat. And all of a sudden you got this kind of, I don't want to say salsa thing happening, but it's a completely different thing. There's so much movement there. And I always love that kind of thing. I think we say this in every freaking interview we do, but I'm astounded at how many drummers, big time, big name, whatever, the left foot's just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's ready to launch off that double bass pedal, but no one's really utilizing the hi-hat in anything that they're playing. To me, the hi-hat's the best part of the whole thing because you can make so many different sounds with it. The other drums, you're kind of limited to what you can, you can hit it hard, you can hit it soft, you can hit it in the rim. I mean, how many sounds can you really get out of a bass drum? It's kind of like loud and soft. That's about it. It's the biggest piece, but it's like loud and soft.
Yeah.
But no, I love the hi-hat. Always have. Always love guys that play the, Steve Smith plays the crap out of the hi-hat. All those guys have that hi-hat solo that they do that I find like incredible. No, I just like it. And I think it's really, really become part of my sound without a doubt. That's part of it.
And I take it a lot of the electronic stuff you do and that you've done on A through Z, as well as Fates and all your other bands have. There's no quantizing whatsoever, is it? It's just
No, the way
bang,
I'm
bang,
playing that,
pound. Yeah.
no, the whole point is like when I'm recording and creating, I'm going, how am I going to do this live?
Mm.
Okay, well, no problem. I basically have my 4-piece kit. I have a trigger here and a trigger here, and then I have the Yamaha DTX 12, which is the 12 pads over here on this side of the hi-hat. And everything that you've ever heard me play electronically is live. There's no quantizing. There's no going back later and doing it. And on this next A through Z, there's going to be a little bit more. Used a little differently, used for a little bit of an edge, used as sound sources, but it's all in there to be played, because if I have to overdub it or do something else, how am I going to do that live? And the coolest part is when you do get live, how good that's going to sound through a PA. And I spend a lot of time stereo this, stereo that. Okay, put this here, put this there, and really mixing it and producing it to get that sound. And like I said, there's the Genesis meets Black Sabbath tune that we're working on. You're gonna go, huh? But I'm playing it all. It's just me and the pads.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the files that you sent me has a predominant electronic feel to it, at least the start of the song. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's quite cool, man. So yeah,
I think that's the one that we were talking about, and then it's going to kick into a really heavy kind of part.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love the fact that you can actually send me these files, and I guess as an outsider, having access to these songs before they're released, before you've added vocals on there, before you've done all the embellishing stuff, just to hear it raw, unmixed, and just pure. Is I really appreciate that. But I guess where I'm going with this is to see it raw and then to see it finished in the end, as I did with your debut album, was astonishing, man. It's I think it just proves if you put the time and effort into something, you're gonna get something fucking awesome come through. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's about putting the hours in.
Yeah.
It's about really working it. But the interesting part, though, is you're supposed to love every minute. Yes, I get tired. Yes, sitting on my butt, for 2 hours working on 4-bar part, maybe when I stand up, yeah, it's a little stiff. I mean,
yeah.
like, okay. But the whole time you're doing it, man, it's like you're in another world and you're hearing it. It's like, okay, no, do it again. Okay, no, that's not right. Okay, I can hear where I'm off a little bit. And then you get like super hyper anal. And if I can't sit back and just close my eyes and have it just kind of move by, then I'll just do it again. Because you can hear, you record enough and you listen back, most people won't catch it. And even when you look at the grid, it's kind of like, it's just like, just a little bit. But like when you listen to it, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right, So there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of quality control or your product assurance or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I'm thinking back. I recall watching some footage from the Disconnected studio recordings with Fates, and you were actually sort of pinned right up against the speaker, eyes closed, just thinking and just, as you said, watching it sort of drive by in your head. So yeah, that's probably the best type of quality control you can have.